What is something you've done slash seen slash heard so bizarre that no matter how many times you tell it, nobody believes you? I was in a Waffle House in High Point, North Carolina once at like 2:30 a.m. with my friend. Slightly buzzed ourselves, but not drunk by any means. This was like 1998. A man walks in, very drunk. He was probably in his early 40s. He doesn't say a word. He just walks over to the jukebox, puts in some coins and plays Flowers on the Wall by the Statler Brothers. As the song started, he stood on top of a table and sang every single line. Quite well, actually. When the song ended, he dismounted the table and walked off into the night. The only reason I know this absolutely happened is because my friend remembers it too. It was honestly a spellbinding experience. Story 2. Was working register one evening at a shitty little grocery store when this little meth head lady walked in, asked for a pack of Cools, and as she's reaching for her money, 3 of her teeth just fell out and onto the counter. I remember the noise they made when they hit the counter to this day. She didn't give a damn, just grabbed them, got her change back, and walked off. Nobody ever believes me when I tell this story. I was in such shock that I barely believe it myself. She didn't give a shit. Story 3. I grew up on a small island.
No predators.
On my way to high school in the morning, I was actually about to be on time for the first class of the day for the first time in a while. But on my way, I saw a bear. It was on the road and stopped my car for some time, and then when it walked off, I sat there watching it until it disappeared. I get to class, late again, told my teacher why. The whole class laughed at me, and my teacher thought he'd catch me lying by telling me to call animal control on speakerphone in front of everyone, which I did, and still he didn't believe me. Well, the report of multiple bear sightings was on the front page of the newspaper the next week. Showed up to the next class, late on purpose just so I could be sure everyone was there when I walked in, and threw the paper down on my teacher's desk, and then I said something about apples, because Good Will Hunting was a popular movie around that time. Story 4. My hometown has a very unique-looking bar. The signage and style are very iconic to the bar. The bar is also definitely not a chain, as my family knows the owner well, and he's run the place for the past 35-odd years. Imagine our surprise when on a trip in Thailand to find the exact same bar down to the unique way they spell the name of the place and all the signage. My family tells the guy back home about the place, and he cannot believe an exact replica of his original concept bar exists. Story 5. 18 or 19 years ago. Flat tire on way to midterm. No spare available. Professor was really understanding. Let me make it up. Working poor. So I was just going from beater to beater for a bit. Come finals, another flat tire. Had left early enough to get to campus that I wasn't worried. Called tow truck for assistance. 1 mile behind me, on highway, I start seeing smoke. Turns out the tow truck on its way to me caught fire mid-trip. Professor didn't believe me. Had to retake the course. This is the story I share when people wonder why I always give people the benefit of the doubt. Story 6. When I was a young adult, Vladimir Putin came to our house for dinner. I'm Canadian. My dad was in charge of security at the Athletes Village for the World Universiade Games being held in our city, and some Russian officials wanted to have a typical Canadian meal at a typical Canadian house. The RCMP forewarned us that at least one of the attendees would be a KGB agent, but I think there may have been 2 of them. What I remember about Putin was that he was going to get married when he returned home, and was going to be studying German as he would be posted to Dresden in a year or 2. He was polite and didn't say much. He was just a young blonde guy, introduced as part of the security team. Story 7. A woman disappeared in a single bathroom at a cafe I worked at. I'm not saying I believe in paranormal, I'm just saying what happened to that lady. We were completely dead. Outside was a snowstorm, not a single soul in the cafe besides my coworker and I. I had a broken foot and was sitting on a stool at the register. One woman walks in, says she has to use the bathroom before she orders. We both watch her go into the bathroom. The only exit from the building requires that she walk directly in front of me to leave, so I would definitely see her if she left. I didn't move from my spot the entire time, as I had a broken foot. No other customers came in during this whole thing. We start to wonder what's taking her so long. After a half hour or so, The bathroom is still shut and locked and the light's still on. After 45 minutes, my coworker knocks to check on her. No answer. After an hour, we decide to unlock the door ourselves because we are thinking the worst happened. When we open the door, she just wasn't there. There is no feasible way she could have left the building without me seeing her. The vent in the bathroom was far too small for any human to fit in. So where did she go? And it's not just me hallucinating. My coworker witnessed it all too. Still creeps me out to think about. Edit. Adding that I have not told this story on any podcasts, and the story is my own, not a copy. The bathroom did not have a drop ceiling. There was no back door that she could have gone through. The cafe was so small you couldn't possibly miss a person walking through it to leave. Even if they did, the only door she could have gone out of had a loud bell that sounded any time the door opened. Even if this woman crawled on the floor past the counter, I would have seen her. I could see the floor from my spot. The bathroom door was very close and very visible from where I was sitting. There's no way she opened it without me noticing. There wasn't even any music playing in the cafe. No TVs, nothing. I do not believe in ghosts or any of that shit. But this one will forever freak me out because I just don't know how she managed to leave. Even the door was still locked when we finally went to open it. We had to manually unlock the door from our side. Story 8. When I was golfing one day, a father and son was paired with another single and I. We go out and I learn that it is the son's birthday, which is cool because it's also my birthday and wifey gave me a day off from the baby, so I figured I'd get around in. I asked him how old he was since we seem about the same age. Turns out we were born on the exact same day. Crazy, right? Well, turns out getting to know them a little more as the day goes on. They're from New York. Well, I was born in New York. I ask for shits and giggles where? Long Island. Me too. Mercy Hospital. Silence for a second or two. Are you kidding?
No.
Same day. Same year. Same hospital. Story 9. I didn't think it was that weird, but I went to a museum in London where they had a piano in the cafe area. A guy goes over to the piano, flexes his knuckles, and proceeds to play about half an hour of the most insanely elaborate pieces you've ever heard. Just absolutely knocks it out of the park. He finishes, stands up, takes a bow, and everyone in the cafe bursts into spontaneous applause. People are cheering. It turns out that he's a Russian concert pianist in town for a performance that weekend, and we all just got a preview of his show. Everyone I've told about this finds it entirely unbelievable because everyone clapped. I just get the same old response referencing the meme, which I don't really get, because I'm pretty sure most people would applaud a concert pianist. Oh well. Story 10. My ex, who stole tens of thousands of dollars from me, secretly believed she was a witch. Like a, I can make things happen, sort of witch. I began to figure it out and called her out. She vehemently denied it. Then I caught her on IG paying a witch doctor from Haiti to cast a love spell on me with my money. The dude sent her a damn video of some voodoo BS, candles and crap on a beat-up table in some hovel to prove he had done it. She eventually left after a lot of drama, and I found her stupid little witchcraft garbage hidden all over the house. Rocks and random things in various pockets of my clothing, string hidden in the pocket of my favorite jeans, little candles hidden away, feathers jammed into things, stuffed places over doorways and windows, 2 dead frozen rabbits buried in the freezer. She had tried to breed them, and these 2 had died after birth. I had naively assumed she got rid of them. 2 dead ducklings in a takeout container hidden in a closet. She tried to raise ducks too. She had problems. Story 11. I used to work in security at a local casino. One day the supervisor calls me to coat check, and when I get there he has this look on his face. We have a bird. I look up at the rafters in coat check and he says, "No, back here." We go behind the counter, and some woman who came into the casino coat checked a live pigeon in a bag. And the coat check attendant not only accepted it, but also agreed to feed it. Story 12. I was at an airport at 11:30 at night during peak COVID with my mom, and we heard just this absolutely incredible piano music. It was so loud that it had to be live, but I thought there was no way it wasn't a recording, it was so good. We went down an elevator, and lo and behold, There was a piano and an old man playing it. There was a cane and a wheelchair next to it. It seemed like he was killing time, waiting for someone to pick him up, maybe. I sat down near him, and my mom left to get our bags. There was nobody else in the whole huge area. He stood up, then sat back down and played a few notes, then stood back up and closed the piano. He turned and looked at me and smiled. "It's nice that there's a piano here, isn't it?" he asked me. I nodded and smiled. "It's great to jam to it. If I had a guitar, I could really jam." He had this old rock star vibe about him, and I got the sense that he wasn't really there. I said something along the lines of, "I think you jam just fine without it. You're an amazing player." He thanked me and then asked if I wanted to hear a song. I nodded. He then proceeded to play and sing one of the most stunning songs I'd ever heard. I just wish I could remember the words. All I know was that it was about whiskey. He had a phenomenal voice, and the way he played the piano was like watching an Olympic athlete compete. You just knew that you were watching one of the most talented people there were in the world. I just sat there, enraptured until he finished and I applauded. Of course, the moment he was calling me too kind and so sweet and starting to come closer to me was the time my mom came back, and all she saw was an old guy chatting up her 16-year-old daughter, so she hustled me out of there. I tried to tell her we were just talking about his music, but our ride was there anyway. I just know he was somebody. I tried to find him online later, but the lyrics from the song had slipped my mind because I was so tired from traveling. I can't express how incredible he was. I don't even like music very much, but hearing him play literally changed my life. In just the few minutes we spoke, I felt like we connected on a deeper level, like my soul understood his. Anyway, whenever I bring it up, my mom just rolls her eyes and brings up her annoyance that A, he was flirting with me, and B, that I didn't leave and find her when he started. And I can't put into words how insanely beautiful his music was. So the story is so incredibly lackluster to anyone else I try to tell. Story 13. When I was around 8, I was sleeping on the couch and I awoke to 2 men breaking into our duplex house. All I could see was the shape of their bodies and one of them holding a small flashlight. I was so terrified I couldn't move or speak. I honestly don't think they seen me or knew I was on the couch. After they left, I ran into the room of my foster parents and woke them up. They didn't even get up, just told me to go back to bed because they didn't believe me. Well, they woke up to a bunch of stuff gone, and then they blamed me because I didn't get them when the men were in the house, so they called my caseworker and gave me back to state. Had to move to a new home after that where it was in my file that I was no to steal, never have. So every home I lived in after that had everything locked up,